It is time to welcome your players for the final match of the Pokemon trading card game Masters Division. Are you ready? Good. Please welcome from France, Stefan Ivanov. And from the United States, Emery Taylor. Congratulations to both of you for making it this far. Please shake hands, take your seats, and we can't wait to watch you play. Casters?
Stefan has now made the finals of 3 different international championships in the span of a year. Of course, winning this event last year, second at the Oceania International Championships, where he was very close to winning. And to get just to the finals 3 times is amazing, but there's only one person who has won multiple international championships. Stefan trying to join the club and become the second person to win 2 internationals.
It's a very elite club, but you know what? Tord Reklev could not get to the finals this year, though he was in the finals last year. Stefan did beat him, and this is the opportunity for Stefan to really cement himself in the history books for Pokemon trading card game by taking this 2nd consecutive North American International Championship.
That is some unique cut going on from Emery, splitting it into 5 different piles. All right, this guy's all about style.
Oh, he's business, but he's also showmanship.
Yeah. All right, players are going to draw their opening hands here. We'll see who goes first. You got the opening coin flip, and looks like Emery's going first.
Okay, that is a big advantage. Speaking to Emery a little bit before this match, talking to him just how he felt about the matchup, and he said, if I go first and I get let loose, it's about a 60-40. So he thinks he's in a really good position, and now going first in game number 1, even though he will go first or go second in game number 2, very likely, that gives him the first initiative in game number 3 as well.
Absolutely. Cannot wait to see this match get started. Get to see the prize cards here for Stefan. 2 Guzma. Ooh.
And the crowd goes, ugh.
And 2 Nest Ball, but the Guzma are a little more important. See if any important cards are in Emery's prize cards. You don't want to see Tapu Koko Prism Star. Nothing too bad. 1 Guzma for him.
That's okay.
Guzma has kind of been living in the prize cards this weekend.
Well, most people are playing at least 3 copies of them.
All right, here we go, the handshake. These 2 players are underway. We're getting kicked off in the finals of the North America International Championships. Can Emery dethrone last year's champion, or will Stefan win 2 in a row?
Either way, we've got an incredible storyline developing here as we get into game number 1.
All right, so just to talk about the matchup a little bit, I do think it is pretty close to even, but there are some key tech cards in the matchup. Stefan played this matchup in the top 4 against Diego, and that Alolan Muck was really crucial in shutting down a lot of Diego's basic Pokemon with abilities. And there we go, Let Loose right off the bat. Like you were saying, Corey, he's going first, using Let Loose, and oh boy.
That could spell some serious trouble for Stefan. We see him with that Mew in the active position, but that's that bench barrier Mew. You want to have that on your bench, protecting you from any little bits of damage that may be coming your way. It's not the ideal starter for Stefan, and this is especially potent because Stefan is forced to set up very, very quickly with this deck. He wants to have Zoroarks ready to go and trade on turn 2, and if he does not find the necessary Zorua that he needs on turn 1, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, we saw in the top 4 match, Diego really was trying to avoid using Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Emery seems to have a different strategy, saying, you know what, I'm just going in. My strategy is to full blitz as fast as I can, and I'm not going to change my strategy now that I'm here.
He's a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But that just comes down to personal play style, personal preference, and experience. For Emery, that's worked out. And we do see he's got that Dedenne GX with Dedenne Change. He can discard his hand and draw 6.
It's an awkward hand. He's got to discard his second Zeraora GX and his Pikachu and Zekrom GX. So some of his attackers going into the discard pile, but he's got to leave a bench spot open for that Tapu Koko Prism Star. All right, now here's the moment of truth for Stefan. What did he draw off of the Let Loose?
We do see the all-important Nest Ball to search out a basic from the deck. Probably going to favor that Zorua.
Yeah, the big question, did he find a supporter or a way to at least draw into a supporter, something like a Lily or an Ultra Ball to find Tapu Lele GX or Dedenne GX. There's a lot of things he can draw to fill up his hand on this turn, but it is always nerve-wracking to begin the game with 4 cards in your hand. And as this Zoroark GX deck, you cannot afford to have a slow first turn. You have to get a lot of basic Pokemon down on turn 1 so that you can evolve them turn 2 and start trading away, attacking, and especially against this hyper-aggressive tag team deck, well, you got to get on the board fast. Although Emery did not attach an energy card on his first turn.
No, he did not. Didn't have one in the opener, didn't have one from the Let Loose, and did not get one from the Dead A change. So a little bit unfortunate. It's going to be difficult for him to get that full blitz off. But
okay.
That's just going to be...
I thought he passed.
just saying shuffle the deck. A pass there would have been absolutely abysmal, but...
Oh, he did pass.
It is the pass. No supporters for Stefan. He's just going to bench that seal.
Oh, okay, and he draws an energy for the turn. Emery going right after the only Zorua on Stefan's side, saying, all right, if I can just keep you off of Zoroark GX, I can Thunderous Assault, take out this one Zorua, and perhaps you just don't draw anything good. Yeah.
I mean, Emery saw that Stefan didn't have a supporter on turn 1. That means he's looking for a supporter off the draw. That means he might not get it.
Indeed. It looks like we do have some chatter at the table. Not exactly sure what's going on, but
it was a very simple Zapdos attach, Guzma.
Emotions are running high here, as you can imagine. You have the excitement of the crowd, lots of noise here, and 2 players in perhaps the biggest matches of their careers. Stefan, looking to improve upon his legacy, but Emery, this is a chance to make a name for himself. And no matter what happens here, history will be made. Either we will have a back-to-back international champion, or we will have the first player from North America actually winning the North America International Championships. And also, we could see a bit of a strange trend emerging where a player wins one year and gets second place the following year. And this would be the second straight time that would happen.
And even still, that's incredibly impressive, incredible consistency in a card game that, there is inherent randomness. So to have that level of consistency means that you have put in a lot of time, a lot of preparation.
Okay, there is the knockout.
Okay.
Thunderous Assault, Zorua goes down. Emery takes the first knockout of this finals game, and Stefan top decks to Denny GX.
That's as good as a supporter here. Gonna get him 6 fresh cards and potentially get him an additional supporter that he can use this turn as well.
That will certainly change things. He's going to draw 6 new cards, although he does not have a Zorua in play, so no opportunity for Zoroark GX. On the other hand, Emery, he has filled his bench, so has no opportunity to use Tapu Koko Prism Star. So this is a bit of an awkward situation for both players. Yeah, still anybody's game.
Emery committed quite early to putting down those GX Pokemon. And usually when you're benching Pikachu and Zekrom GX, it means that you want to get that full blitz off in a turn or 2. But without Dance of the Ancients, that's going to be very difficult because he sort of smelled blood in the water with the Zorua on the bench and saw an opportunity to take that first knockout with Zapdos, thus limiting him to being able to attach to Pikachu and Zekrom. So he sort of split his strategy right now and is going to have to decide, well, which way do I go?
Yeah, we do see Stefan going for that Ditto Prism Star. He understands how important it is to have that Alolan Muck in play, and he doesn't play Alolan Grimer in his deck, so this is the one way he can evolve into that Alolan Muck, get that power of alchemy up and running, so it can disable things like Tapu Koko Prism Star. It can disable the ability of Zeraora GX, and really limit your opponent's options. But, man, after passing the first turn with almost nothing, Stefan drawing, well, now 12 cards basically off the Dead A change, plus this Lily, and he has stabilized.
We cannot emphasize enough how important it was that he picked up that Deadeye GX off of the top of the deck to be able to keep himself in this game. Pokemon Communication, the Giratina into the deck, pull out another Zorua, and it's looking like he's going to be able to set up those Zoroark GX on his 3rd turn. It's a little bit later than he would like, but it is still going to be good enough.
All right, just has to pass the turn. Now it's up to Emery to see what he can do. Again, no bench space. He could clear off a bench space if there were a stadium card in play. That Marshadow with the resetting hole ability can discard itself to get rid of a stadium card in play, but doesn't look like there's a stadium for either player. He does have a Guzma in hand. He can take a knockout this turn. I think he has to go for Ditto Prism Star, and Emery realizes that as well. Has another Guzma, takes another prize card, and takes a 2-prize lead. And that means we will not be seeing Alolan Muck in this game.
Yeah, even though Emery does not have access to Tapu Koko Prism Star in the Dance of the Ancients just yet, he knows that he wants it for the future and might as well take out the Ditto Prism right now before it becomes an issue later on.
And now Stefan, he finds Zoroark GX. Here's one of the most powerful cards in the history of the game.
Emery giving him a little clap.
It's like, all right, you get to play now. And we do see Lily for 4 cards, and now the trades will begin. Very simple ability. Discard 1 card from your hand, draw 2 cards, and you see Stefan drawing very carefully after a mishap yesterday where he accidentally saw an extra card after a trade. He's now very cautiously putting out each card as he should, making sure there are no mistakes here in the finals.
Yes, he did receive a penalty for that, but he managed to overcome that penalty and still take the series over Diego. That Alolan Muck, now that the Ditto Prism is gone, is not going to be useful for Stefan, so might as well trade it away.
And Stefan is trying to find the Dugong this turn so he can use that dual Blizzard, hit 2 Pokemon for 60 damage. But I don't think he found a way to find that Dugong. He's got the triple acceleration energy in hand. And trying to decide, should I retreat and attack with Zoroark GX? No, it looks like he's just going to pass the turn. So Emery still in the lead and has taken no damage.
But importantly, has got nothing set up on
Right.
his bench right now. It's just this Zapdos that's been putting in work, and this Pikachu and Zekrom, a bit of a liability when you don't have the opportunity to start attacking with it.
But guess what card he does have? Guzma, again.
Huh, would you look at that?
All right, so Guzma out the Mew this time, and this Zapdos is cleaning up the 3rd consecutive knockout for Emery, who now has a 3-prize card lead, but as you noted, Cora, his board position is not good. He has no other energy in play, nothing else powered up, and it's not difficult to see a world where Stefan can pull back in this game.
Yeah, things are going to be slowing down quite considerably for Emery here. He's already used 3 of his 4 Guzma in the deck. He will now have to find alternate ways to move the Zapdos around. That could be rather difficult. And more importantly, this Pikachu and Zekrom tag team are just sitting there rather useless.
Yep. Now there's one card we have to keep in mind in this matchup. The new innovation of this event, that Naganadel GX with that Stinger GX attack, can make it so that even if your opponent gets out to an early lead, it doesn't matter. You just reset the prize cards to 3 for both players. And that may be on Stefan's mind as a way to maybe even up the prize cards in this game eventually.
Yeah, the release of triple acceleration energy, making it so that you can attach a single card to Naganadel GX and be able to Stinger GX right away, has given a lot of these decks that do take a longer time to set up the ability to come back from that prize deficit.
Indeed, and I think Stefan is recognizing here, my opponent's bench is full, so he's eyeing up a Guzma. This could be an opportunity where he can Guzma out the Pikachu and Zekrom GX, attack it for some damage before it's powered up, and Emery may be in a dreadful situation if this happens.
It looks like that is what Stefan's going for with only 5 Pokemon on the board. Riotous Beating is going to be dealing 100, so it's not a 2-hit knockout unless there will be an additional Pokemon on the bench and a Choice Band next turn for Stefan. But being able to get 1 attack off onto the Pikachu and Zekrom, threatening a knockout and threatening to even up the game with just a single knockout, Stefan is recovering beautifully from that rougher start that he had.
And now Emery does have a Lightning Energy in hand. He finally draws another energy card. He can attach and retreat thanks to the Thunderclap Zone from Zeraora GX, but he doesn't have any good attacks lined up here. We could potentially see him go for the Full Voltage GX on Zeraora GX. Can get some Lightning Energy out of his discard pile. He did discard 2 on the first turn with that Electromagnetic Radar, hoping to get Tapu Koko Prism Star, but it just has not gone according to plan. Your other option is just to attack with Zapdos, which doesn't seem too great against an opponent who's playing Acerola. But hey, Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. It looks like, oh, we could see Dedenne GX. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
The double energy switch onto Dedenne GX, and we see the tingly return. 50 damage and paralyzes the Zoroark GX. You go, Dedenne.
And then it returns itself and all cards attached to it to the hand, meaning that Emery now has 2 energy available. He also can Dedenne change again. Dedenne is getting some good screen time this weekend.
I mean, it's a great card. Obviously, it's one of the strongest cards to come out of this Unbroken Bonds expansion. Dedenne change is just an incredible ability that's being added into all sorts of different decks. It's a huge boon of consistency for any deck that can afford to play it. And every once in a while, when you're playing this Pikachu and Zekrom deck, you can Tingly Return, send it back to your hand. Reminds you a lot of that old Shaman EX with that Sky Return attack, except now you can only do it once per game.
All right, Stefan continuing these trades. He's got the Dugong now. He's got the triple acceleration energy.
Yeah, Stefan has the world in his hands. He's been trading away, building up more cards, and I'm sure he has access to whatever supporter card he wants this turn with the Tapu Lele GX in hand. He can Guzma if he wants. He can Acerola to pick up the damage. Zoroark GX. This is just what control the Zoroark deck gives you. You get to see so many cards every turn where you're able to just craft game plans, and really, as long as you can figure out a way to use all the cards in your deck to your advantage, anything is possible.
You're just playing with so much more information than your opponent that at times it might seem a little bit unfair, but I mean, that's understandably what you have to undertake by playing a deck that does require a fair bit of setup, that does have a lot of very vulnerable basic Pokemon, and Emery's advantage is that he can start to knock out those Pokemon before Stefan can set up. Stefan always has to put himself in the position of being weak to that Thunderous Assault from Zapdos on the first few turns because he's forced to bench those Zorua and that Ditto Prism very early on. But we can see he's insulated himself with those comeback mechanics like the Stinger GX and like the ability to take these 2-hit knockouts onto Tag Team GX Pokemon, to the point where he doesn't have to worry about being behind early on because he's going to have so much more presence and so much more game later on.
So there is Acerola returning the damaged Zoroark GX to his hand, and we saw that Poipole go down onto the bench. This is a crucial card here. I'm sure we'll see him dual Blizzard and hit that Pikachu and Zekrom GX for another 60 damage. On a future turn, he can use that Stinger GX and reset the prize cards to 3 for both players, and that means all he has to do is knock out Pikachu and Zekrom GX and win the game. And he also knows that Emery has played 3 Guzma so far, so the likelihood of him having a 4th one and knocking out this Poipole are very low.
And Emery's had this Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench since he electromagnetic radared to search for it on turn 1. Clearly, he thought that if he was going to find Dance of the Ancients, Tapu Koko Prism, that he would be able to actually attack with this, but now it's potentially going to be the reason that he loses the game. It's going to give up 3 prizes without ever even having an energy attached to it.
So Nestball finally finding Tapu Koko Prism Star. He finally has the bench space to put this Prism Star card down. Has that great Dance of the Ancients ability, which will allow him to get some energy cards into play. But Stefan, you can see him setting up the road to victory. He's 2 turns away. These Zoroark GX decks are in it for the long haul, trying to play long games, using that resource advantage from that trade ability. And Emery may have just fallen a bit too far behind in this game. Stumbled after his explosive opening hand, but he's going to try to do whatever he can.
And Emery does get that first attack after Stinger GX comes down, but without the access to Tag Bolt GX, excuse me, because he's already Tingly Return GX this game, he can't take 3 prizes with a single attack.
All right, there we see the Dedenne change, drawing 6 cards. He's already also played a couple energy switches. I mean, it's just not looking great for Emery. If he can find his 4th Guzma, he can go after that Poipole and set himself up for a win on the following turn, perhaps. But if he doesn't draw it here, you know what's coming. When your opponent has Zoroark GX in play, has about 10 cards in their hand, you know that Naganadel GX is looming, and that Stinger is going to reset things and make life terrible for you.
And you can say that maybe he should have been a little bit more stingy with the use of Guzma, but to take 2 Zorua knockouts and a Ditto Prism knockout very early on is not liberal use of those Guzmas. That's what you need to do in the early turns.
Yeah.
It's just that you kind of need all 4 of them in this matchup to be able to really deal with the issues before they're present.
He also had no other option, honestly.
Yeah, it was the only turns he could make.
Yeah. So the bright thing here for Emery is that Stefan does have Dugong in the active spot. He cannot retreat for free, so he's going to need to find some kind of supporter card to move it out of the way. He does run a lot of ways to do that, whether it's Acerola, Guzma, Tate, and Liza. But I think he had a couple of Guzma prized. Could be difficult for him to draw into them, even though he has access to trade. We do see Palpad.
Palpad, the Acerola, and the Guzma back into the deck.
Yep, trying to improve those odds. If he misses the Stinger GX this turn, it's not the end of the world. It's still the same situation that these players were in on the previous turn, where Emery would need to find that 4th Guzma. But I'm sure Stefan would like to just get this game over with, find a way to move this Dugong, use that Stinger GX, and move himself towards a victory.
He's got plenty of energy. He's got the Naganadel.
See the first trade of the turn, discarding double colorless, drawing 2 cards. Second Zoroark GX comes into play, draws 2 more cards. Can he find a way to move this Dugong?
Ice Ball and Rescue Stretcher aren't going to help him out.
Well, he does. Okay, so he does have Guzma in hand, I think. But as we saw earlier, his other 2 are prized.
It looks like it might be that 4th card. You're right.
So if he plays the Guzma here to get Naganadel GX out of the active spot, he doesn't have a way to Guzma out the Pikachu and Zekrom a second time.
So regardless, he's looking to find that Guzma from his deck, which is why he Palpatted it into the deck at the start of the turn before he made these trades.
All right. So he's going to Guzma here, and we'll see the Stinger GX. He will be able to shuffle his prize cards into his deck, so there's a very good chance that one of those Guzma, at least, will get back into his deck, but this could be a bit of a sweat here. If all of his remaining Guzma go back into his prize cards, he may struggle to close out this game. So this is a big moment here. One of the most unique GX attacks in the game, Stinger GX. It says both players shuffle their prize cards into their decks and then put out 3 new cards as their prize cards. Knockouts up to that point do not matter. We are now both at 3 prize cards.
Levels the playing field, and then, of course, we see all of that damage on the Pikachu and Zekrom GX that Stefan has done over the course of this game. The idea is that you set yourself to 3 prizes, you damage a tag team, and then you take that knockout and you win the game.
Emery's like, can I do it? Can I put the prize cards out? All right, I'm curious to see, did those 2 Guzma leave Stefan's prize cards? And yeah, oh, nope, those are Emery's. Never mind. The important one, there's one
in there.
1 Guzma. That means there's 1 in his deck, and he can still win this game. Oh, and Emery actually putting Choice Band onto the Marshadow here. It has that Red Knuckles attack, which does more damage if your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast. And with the Choice Band is going to hit for a hefty amount of damage. This is an interaction we do not see very often.
No, but certainly an additional reason to use this particular Marshadow. Resetting Hole, of course, being able to remove Marshadow itself from the bench and discarding a Stadium, but then also you do get the added bonus of it can be a threat.
Yeah, it's going to hit for, that's what I thought, 200 damage, 10 short of a knockout.
Oh my.
And now it's very simple. If our defending champion draws Guzma this turn, he will take the first game.
But Emery wisely is forcing him to have it.
Absolutely. So Stefan sequencing this as best as he can, knowing that, okay, I need to Ultra Ball first, grab a Pokemon out of my deck, which reduces the number of cards in my deck by 1, which means I can then trade, have better odds to find the card I need.
He's got 2 trades available to him this turn.
He's taking a look through his deck to see, all right, where is that Guzma? Is it in there? And I think he will see that there is one in there. That's a card he doesn't exactly need to win the game, but if he gets it, he wins immediately.
Even if he doesn't, Emery is still 2 knockouts away from winning.
Right.
So it puts Stefan on having another turn at the very least.
And Emery is not playing any sort of healing cards. We've seen other lists that play things like Max Potion, Acerola, even Super Scoop Up. See the first trade, Acerola, but no Guzma. Stefan trying to decide, does he want to Ultra Ball a second time? Does he have enough cards in his hand to afford throwing away these resources, or will he just trade? All right, second trade, does he find Guzma?
He does not.
Okay, so this game will continue. It's still not looking good for the American player, but...
It looked like he picked up an Acerola.
Yeah, he does have that, which would allow him to pick up his Naganadel GX.
Potentially extend this game 1 more turn, give him another chance to find the Guzma.
Yeah, he could even threaten a couple of dual Blizzards in back-to-back turns to finish off the Pikachu and Zekrom GX on the bench.
Yeah, 160 damage on that Pikachu and Zekrom already.
I'm not trying to like flip over the contents or something, right?
1 dual Blizzard wouldn't be enough, but 2 would get the job done.
Indeed. So Stefan just taking a look at every option, trying to figure out, how can I win this game? More importantly, how can my opponent win this game? And is there anything I can do to prevent that? That's the hallmark of a great player, trying to figure out how you can lose the game when you're in an advantageous position. And Stefan, of course, is an excellent player, going to find any way that his opponent could possibly win and try to cut it off.
Well, the first step for Emery winning this game would be to take that knockout in the Naganadel GX, so Stefan is going to use his Acerola, pull that back up, and hopefully make it so that Emery needs to take 2-hit knockout on a GX Pokemon.
And Stefan's setting up for a win in 2 turns now. Either way, he does have the Giratina in his discard pile, I believe, with that Distortion Door. The Marshadow on the bench just has 10 HP. So either way, Stefan looking like he is setting himself up for victory here. Of course, he also has that Meowth sitting on the bench. You can see just how much control this Zoroark GX deck has. If Emery decides he can get a knockout on Zoroark GX,
I think he can. He can Faulkner for an energy switch. He's got the Electro Power in hand with the Choice Band attached.
Indeed, but with that Meowth on the bench, that means all Emery needs is that Persian GX. That Catwalk ability lets him search his deck for 2 cards, put him into his hand. So I think Stefan has done an excellent job here, kind of checkmating his opponent.
He's got him from all possible scenarios. Emery needs to take a knockout this turn. That will trigger the Catwalk ability and give Stefan exactly what he needs.
Yeah, the one thing Emery can do here, the thing he did on the first turn, let loose. Hope his opponent just does not draw anything off of a 4-card let loose. If he can get a knockout and disrupt his opponent's hand, this is his last shot. And you can see Emery you can see it on his face. He's like, I don't think this is gonna work, but
might as well try.
It's the only shot I have.
He's kind of resigned to it. Go ahead and play the Electro Power.
All right, let loose. He's played the Electro Power. He's still 1 energy away from being able to attack with Plasma Fists. He will need either Thunder Mountain Prism Star or an energy switch to pull off this attack. So it all starts here. He's not out of the woods yet. He's got to find a way to attack. And then it's up to Stefan to draw the game-winning cards. The big 4 cards here off this let loose.
For both players. Of course, Stefan does still have a couple of trades.
Energy
There's
switch.
The energy switch, and that's going to take 1 of the trades away from Stefan for his turn. Emery down to just 1 prize card. And what did Stefan get off of the let loose?
Okay, I don't see anything immediately. Oh, never mind.
There's the Guzma.
There's your boy, tried and true combo. Guzma, Riot is beating a good game. Stefan takes a 1-0 lead in the finals.
Exactly the 240 damage he needed to hit to get that Pikachu and Zekrom GX knockout. pretty much just textbook from Stefan. Stinger GX set up that Tag Team GX knockout for 3 prizes and put himself 1 game closer to being back-to-back North American International Champion.
Yeah, that was a bit of an unorthodox game. Stefan, of course, taking his first turn and barely doing anything. His hand was destroyed by the Marshadow let loose, but Emery's second turn, even though he got a knockout, did not do him any favors. His hand off of the Dede change from Dedenne GX. Boy, he drew pretty much nothing, and he was struggling from the start. And of course, that top deck from Stefan on his second turn really opened the floodgates, and he was able to find Zoroark GX. And once you get Zoroark GX out, everything else tends to fall in place. Yeah.
I do wonder if we're going to see Emery maybe shift his strategy a little bit this game and not bench that Pikachu and Zekrom tag team. He started out with Electromagnetic Radar very early, put it on the bench right away, and it was never even able to attack. So had that not been there, Stefan, of course, would not have been able to take 1 knockout for game. But even still, even just a GX knockout there would have been game for Stefan. So it's possible that Emery will try to go for an exclusively Zapdos strategy this game, but I think it's just a little bit more likely that he tries to maybe draw a little bit better.
Yeah, that would help him a little bit. Yeah, his strategy didn't really fail. I mean, he didn't draw anything,
Yeah,
right?
it kind of fizzled.
Like, if you can attack with Pikachu and Zekrom GX turn 2, hey, that's pretty good. I mean, in that game, if he had attacked turn 2 with full blitz, I think we probably see him win that game. But the fact that he only could power up Zapdos, and really all he could do for 3 turns in a row was attack with Zapdos and never got to attach energy to his Pokemon. It just gave Stefan too much time to build up his position, and Emery was not able to power up his big Pokemon GX to close out the game.
I mean, think of what he was forced to do because he couldn't power up that Pikachu and Zekrom GX. He had to use double energy switch to Tingly Return and Dedenne,
yes.
Which meant he didn't have access to any of his other GX attacks. Had he had full blitz, had he had tag volt, things could have looked a lot differently. So I feel like Emery is going to keep the same aggressive strategy, especially since he's going first again. And he's just going to hope that he finds the energy he needs this time around.
I don't know if we can see this on camera, but Emery is making a tough choice here. He has 2 Pokemon he doesn't want to start with, Marshadow and Dedenne GX. And he's saying, which one of these am I going to start with? Both of them only have abilities that can be used when you put them onto your bench. We see Naganadel GX prized for Stefan. Only plays 1. That could be a game changer. And okay, Marshadow prized for Emery.
But we know he does have access to the 1 in hand.
Yeah, we'll see which Pokemon he started with when we flip over here.
It is the Dedenne, it looks like.
All right, so he does have access to that Let Loose.
Game 2 of our Masters Finals for the North American International Championships is on. Without even playing a card from his hand, he is just going to let loose.
That's what it's all about. We're going out with a bang here. Of course, this is...
Hopefully it's a bang and not a whimper, Kyle, because that is not ideal.
No kidding. This is, of course, the last big event using this current standard format. There will be a rotation before the World Championship, so this may be the last time you get to see a turn 1 let loose in the standard format. We'll see what it gives Emery here. 4 cards.
Choice Band, Guzma, Thunder Mountain, Prism.
Oh, no.
There's no draw supporter there.
Okay. This is
He's got the
heartbreaking for Emery. And, Lily for Stefan.
Oh, my goodness.
He's going to be able to draw 5 cards off of this Lily. And he has put himself in a fantastic position to close out this series and be the back-to-back champion. Although, never mind, his hand is also not very good.
He does find 1 Zorua, but no Zoroark, no additional basic Pokemon, and wow, what a draw.
Electro power for Emery. This is heartbreaking. Just nothing he can do. Even drawing an energy here, he could have used Dedenne GX to attack because he has the Thunder Mountain Prism Star.
Just draw pass.
Pass the turn.
That's absolutely heartbreaking for Emery Taylor.
But Stefan just draws Ditto Prism Star. He currently has no evolutions that he can play in his hand. Neither player
has a means of finding them either.
Neither player can do anything.
Yeah.
Emery draws
My
a field
God.
blower.
Remember that whimper I was talking about?
Oh, Stefan draws the Zoroark. He's the first one to top deck. This is not how I expected this finals to play out.
No, not even a little bit.
All right, now the trade begins. Does he draw anything else good?
Gets a
No!
Guzma and a Giratina. That's useless.
Okay, he can Guzma and ride his beating if he wants to. And I think he
might
probably.
as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you want to. Your opponent, you sense complete weakness. They've done nothing
If Emery
for
does
2
not
turns.
find a means to a basic Pokemon, this game's over in 2 turns.
A triple acceleration going on to the Zoroark. Guzma taking out this Marshadow. Stefan saying, look, we may not be doing much, but at least I'm doing something. Take the knockout. Big top deck for Emery.
I mean, it's something to keep him in the game if the Dedenne gets knocked out, but not for long. 2 additional attacks from Riotous Beating with a full bench, and that Pikachu and Zekrom is getting knocked out. The game is over.
And this is a tense spot. So Emery could just pass the turn and say, you know what? Yeah, and Guzma out this Seal as well and say, you know what? I'm not going to bench anything. This way you can't play Guzma. But this does give Stefan an opportunity to win the game if he gets lucky. If he can find a way to draw his Tate and Liza and a triple acceleration energy with the right cards, he can get the game-winning knockout with the Persian GX in his hand. Is he going to go for it here?
It's going to start with Pokemon Communication, send back that Seal.
We may see him grab Dedenne GX. Looks like
It's like he might be favoring the Muck.
Yeah, he's eyeing up the Alolan Muck. I mean, this just kind of locks Emery out of the game. Cannot use Tapu Koko Prism Star. Man, it's got to be so tempting, though.
He does have the Tate and Liza.
It's got Tate and Liza and
Choice
Persian
Band.
and Choice Band.
Can
if he drew triple acceleration energy off of the Dedenne change, he would
With
just be able
Distortion
to.
Door, he would have the 160.
Well, no, he would just slash back with Persian GX to win the game. 180 damage with the Choice Band. But it looks like he's taking probably the correct route, the more conservative route. Saying, look, if I just play this Alolan Muck, I think I'm going to win this game. There is the Alolan Muck and the Tate and Liza. He's actually going to use it to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 5 cards. It's one of the few supporter cards that has 2 different options. You can switch your active Pokemon with your benched Pokemon, or shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards. Neither mode particularly powerful, but the flexibility is having 1 card in your deck that can act as a switch or a way to refresh your hand. And I think Stefan just hoping to find maybe a double colorless energy off of this 5 cards so he can attack for just a little bit of damage, enough to allow him to retreat on the following turn and get a game-winning knockout.
Finds another Zorua, picks up a Lily that he can use next turn, but no energy.
This game sure is bizarre.
Now Power of Alchemy is in play, so each basic Pokemon everywhere has no abilities.
Emery draws a lightning energy. That's something.
Technically, yes. It's something.
He could lose the game this turn if he wanted to. He has Thunder Mountain Prism Star and a lightning energy. He could Tingly Return and say, you know what?
You're got me.
You're not winning this game. I'm losing this game.
That would be the ultimate stick it to the man, I guess. But the man in this case would be a back-to-back international champion.
That is how the U.S. National Championships ended a few years ago with the Wailord deck playing AZ to pick up his only Pokemon. But Emery going to fight this one out. Attach energy to the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. And now it'll be on Stefan to find a Guzma here. Palpad going to start things off, shuffling in Tate and Liza and a Guzma. He still only has 1 Zoroark GX in play, but has an opportunity to get a second one. Boy, this is heartbreaking for Emery, getting to the finals, drawing 2 pretty poor hands.
If you play a couple of solid games and you lose, you're going to be upset, but you know what? You did everything that you could. Getting to this point and your deck just being so cruel to you, that has to feel very bad. But, I mean, got to give it to him. He's still smiling.
All right, Stefan does draw an Ultra Ball, so that means we will see a second Zoroark GX come into play on this turn. And this is where the door starts to close. You start getting multiple Zoroark GX in play. You can trade multiple times in a turn, draw 4 cards per turn, and just lets you keep drawing through your deck. This is kind of the breaking point. One Zoroark GX is good, but not great. They start to play very well together once you have multiples.
You add that level of consistency to the attacking potential that Zoroark GX does have with just a double colorless energy. Take a 2-hit knockout onto a Pikachu and Zekrom GX, and suddenly you can understand why this deck has been such a hallmark of the standard format for the last few years and why Stefan piloted a somewhat similar deck to this championship title last year.
All right, double colorless going on to the seal. Can poke in for, I think, 20 damage, which is relevant because it sets up Zoroark GX for a Riotous beating later. Actually, Dugong, now he can hit for 60. And that's what he's going to do. The not very often used attack of Dugong, Tail Whap, 60. Oh my goodness. Could Emery draw any worse card in his deck? Rescue Stretcher to get back the Marshadow that has no effect. And you see Power of Alchemy just shutting down this game. I mean, Emery, he was already in a bad spot. We didn't need a Alolan Muck to give him a bad hand.
The amount of draw pass that we've seen from Emery this game,
But hey,
probably more than he's had all tournament.
But if you're Stefan, any win is a win. You'll take him however you can get him.
I mean, you can feel a little bit bad, but not that bad.
All right, trade number 2 coming in. Does Stefan have another energy card to attack this turn? Indeed, he draws double colorless energy. We could see Zoroark GX ride off into the sunset and Emery having to witness it.
Zoroark GX is going to be rotating out of the standard format soon, but it's looking like not without another championship title under its belt. That's going to be the knockout on Dedenne GX with Riotous beating, and Stefan going to take a couple of prize cards.
Here's the draw. It's a Guzma. Okay, he can Guzma out the Alolan Muck. That is a big Pokemon for retreat cost.
And send it back over.
Stefan did shuffle the Tate and Liza back into his deck with the Pal Pad. This not very often seen supporter card is useful in these weird situations where your opponent doesn't have a benched Pokemon. And of course, he's been trading away. Does he have Tate and Liza in his hand? There's like 15 cards.
It's a little bit hard to tell until he fans them out. It looks like he might.
He's going to trade away that Judge. Don't need that anymore.
Emery's hand has done him no favors. You don't want to do any for him. He does have the Tate and Liza.
There it is. You talk about tag team Pokemon. How about just a tag team, a pair of Tate and Liza? Going to be able to switch that active Pokemon. And Riot is beating. Stefan is 1 turn away from winning another
Field Blower.
Field Blower. Are you kidding me?
Useless. Utterly useless.
Oh, this
is just, I think, the worst consecutive series of draws I've ever seen.
I don't know that he can even prevent it, and that's
there's
it.
Nothing that he can do. Stefan Ivanov is your back-to-back North American International Champion for the Masters Division of the Pokemon Trading Card Game. Congratulations to him. That last game was a bit of a non-game, but you know what? He absolutely deserves this title. He deserves this championship victory. And look at all of his supporters rushing out of the crowd to show him how happy they are for him.
Stefan, very few people have the distinction of being a back-to-back international champion. What does that mean to you?
It's amazing. I didn't expect to go that far in the tournament. I certainly didn't expect to win again. It feels just very good to be here and get one more win.
What do you think contributed to your success? How did you get here?
I believed in Zoroark GX, and Zoroark GX believed in me.
I'm sure there were also a lot of people that were supporting you, bringing you here. Who are those people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to give a big thanks to everyone, the Busted Airbnb crew, everyone who had tested games. Special mention to Henry Brun for suggesting Naganadel GX. He's the Zoroark genius. Also, thank you to my friends at home in France who are watching the stream, who are supporting me all the way. It means a lot to me.
And as a role model in this position, is there anything you'd like to say to the people watching and trying to become like you one day?
Well, I was gonna say play Zorg GX, but he's gonna rotate out, so that's not good advice. But yeah, just try to play your best. Like, be honest, admit your mistake. Try to improve. Don't blame luck, and try to be the best that you can be. And one day you will do it too.
Congratulations. Thank you, Stefan. Let's hear it one more time for your champion.